Hi everybody! Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a video about board games that aren't great for dyslexic gamers. Before we get into the games, I'm just gonna do a quick explanation about dyslexia. It's a brain disorder that affects a person's ability to read rapidly and automatically. It has to do with the wiring in the brain, and basically I have a really difficult time making sense of abstracted bits of information and being able to put them to practical use, which basically is what reading is. This is also a skill that we run into when playing board games. A couple things I just want to specify also before we get into the games is the fact that I am not a dyslexia expert. I'm just someone learning more about this disorder that I have, and I want to connect with other people who have this disorder through playing board games. Dyslexia is very diverse. There's different degrees that you can have dyslexia. Some people have it very severely. Some people only struggle with it a slight bit. I'm not going to say that all of the games that I struggle with as a dyslexic person are the games that you will struggle with. But please leave a comment. If you're dyslexic and you agree or disagree, please share. I'd love to hear your comments. The games I'm going to talk about are fine games. Some of them are great games. They aren't games that I'm going to recommend to other people who have dyslexia, especially if they're just getting into the board gaming hobby. And some of them I outright avoid because I do not enjoy playing them. This is not about how much you win and how much you lose when playing these games. This is purely based on enjoyment level. This list is made up of categories, and I have some examples of each category. So starting off, spelling games, including Scrabble and bananagrams. When I was growing up, I was always behind everyone else, and I always was trying to hide the fact how far behind I was with everyone else. So a game like this I really did avoid, and I still have that tendency because I am not a great speller, and there are some cases where I just do not see the right word combinations. I get letters mixed up very easily, and that is just because my brain does that for some reason. So spelling games are very difficult and not super fun. The next category I want to talk about are games that are narrative driven or have a lot of literature in them. For example, detective, the Sherlock Holmes, consulting detective, time stories, and near and far. These all have a really strong storyline that sometimes you will be reading out loud in front of everyone else. Even games like Blood Rage and the baseball highlights, where you're drafting cards and you're reading a lot of information on the cards, can be really stressful. These games I love, I enjoy them so much, but I've come to a point where I'm less worried about reading in front of people. It doesn't bother me, and I'm also, a lot of people that I play with know that I'm a slower reader, so there just isn't a whole lot of anxiety about it anymore. But these are tremendous games, but if you are a slower reader or just not as strong, these are games to avoid. The next category of games are deduction games, and not social deduction. Deduction games where you are trying to come to a logical conclusion based off of limited facts. For example, I have it right here, Sleuth. Sleuth is very much kind of along the same lines as Clue, where everyone's trying to guess I think 3 items, and you do that by the process of elimination. When other people do that, they can deduce what's going on based off of how I'm asking questions and what other people are looking for. They come to very solid logical conclusions. I can't do that. I am very much at the mercy of what people show me and what I have, what I can physically see. So those are games where I just fall behind and I don't have the capacity to follow the logical steps to know what the right conclusion is. So those are just games that I'm not able to do because I truly believe it is because of being dyslexic and not being able to retain those tiny bits of information, because there's nothing to connect those bits of information to. Alright, the next category of games are war games, or games where like there's two armies and they're going to fight. For example, chess, Memoir 44. I do not have the ability to do long-term strategy or to do combative strategy. I focus very heavily on my strategy and fail to perceive my opponent's strategy. So when they are changing and moving around and doing different things, I don't see the attacks coming. I don't see what they're going to do next, and basically my strategy is completely useless because I'm not combating them. So I'm not sure what this skill is exactly, if it falls under dyslexia or if it's a personality trait. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with this category. The last category isn't a category at all, it's Scythe. That's because Scythe is the perfect storm when it comes to being a dyslexic gamer. It has a lot going on in it. You're building multiple machines to get the game moving. There's area like control, there's combat involved, there's research gathering, and there's all these scales that you're trying to climb up throughout the game. There's a lot to keep track of, and I think the biggest problem I find is that Scythe does not have a very strong theme. And because there's so much busyness, so many things you're trying to do at the same time and keeping like a good momentum, it just begins to feel like that. A lot of busyness because there's no plot or story or theming in it to connect those things to. So I find that very distracting, very difficult to follow what's going on, and I often just can focus on one aspect, and of course I lose because then I don't gain points at the end of the game. So it's very frustrating, and it's very... I was so lost as to what this game was that I just felt very hopeless, and I felt very much like I did when my mother was trying to teach me algebra. And that is a different video for another day. So I hate to put Scythe out there by itself. If you can think of other games that are like this, that have too much going on mechanics wise, too many aspects to keep track of, and has weak theming, let me know what it is and maybe we can lump it together with Scythe so it's not by itself anymore. So that will wrap up my video for games that aren't great for dyslexics. I hope that it didn't come across too negative and will be helpful in some way, either understanding people who are dyslexic or for yourself when gaming. So thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hate that. Please do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that too. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.